Hey, Chandler Roll here, and joining me today is Matt Emery. He's the author of a book called "Where the Rubber Meets the Road," and also the host of a brand new podcast. Okay, we've got an exciting announcement today, and that's if you haven't heard, if you're living under a rock, or actually, we haven't really made a big deal about this yet, so you probably haven't heard yet. But we've got a brand new podcast that just launched. Matt is the host of that podcast. It's called the Authority Figures Podcast. So, as you know, you maybe know or have heard me say or us say, the root word of authority is author. And you can't spell the word authority without the word author. And so a lot of people, they want to become, and they do become, an authority by first becoming an author. Right. And so that's what this podcast is all about. I'll let Matt tell you in his own words here in a sec about what the podcast is about, who it's for, kind of all that stuff. But I guess for starters, just wanted to announce that, hey, this is a new podcast in the Self-Publishing School family of podcasts. And I'd encourage you to subscribe to it. So I'm going to have the link along with this video, if you're watching the video, or audio, if you're listening to the podcast. Just search Authority Figures, and you can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you subscribe, I'm going to give you a free physical copy of my brand new book published. All you have to do is just reach out to us, and we'll give you a copy. All right. So with that said, check out the podcast. And Matt, why did you launch this podcast? What's it all about?
Yeah. First of all, I just wanted to have more conversations with super interesting people. And so all of the people that I interview on this podcast are best-selling authors. I was able to hand select some of the people that I find most fascinating. And we got some really, really interesting people on talking about the thing that they love and that they are the authority on. And so some of the people are celebrating bestseller, and maybe that was kind of the goal, but now they're realizing that it's a springboard into so many more exciting, larger than life, almost things that they're scared to imagine were possible. So we got like super interesting people talking about their books, and we also get a chance to dig into how they did it. So if you're showing up to be entertained, you're going to be super entertained. If you're showing up also to maybe get some education on how to write a book, well, it's also a great podcast for you.
Cool. That's great, man. And I think what people will resonate a lot, because I've gotten this a lot, is, Chandler, we don't want to listen to some famous author tell us how to do this, which, the Self-Publishing School podcast, a lot of times it's like, hey, these are the best in their field. Like, the most successful authors on the planet say how they did it. But some feedback I've gotten is, gosh, it's just not that relatable. Like, it's interesting, but I feel like it's just distant. And so I think that's what's cool about the Authority Figures podcast is like, hey, these are people who are literally just like me 90 days ago, a year ago. They maybe had a conversation with you on their way into self-publishing school. You said, hey, let's do this. They joined self-publishing school. They went through the journey, and now they are an authority figure. And so I think for a lot of people, myself included, I love learning from people who are like 2 steps ahead of me. And I think that's probably one of the coolest things about this show. So where can people, or before I go, down to, hey, obviously subscribe to the podcast, check it out. Who is this for? Like, who should go check out the podcast? Who's going to benefit from this?
If you want to write a book and you want to learn from some people and how they did it, people that are just, they're simultaneously extraordinary in a lot of ways, but they're ordinary too. Then check it out. I think anybody who wants to write a book will see themselves sort of reflected in some of these guests, and just see how approachable it actually can be.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you're interested in checking out the podcast, check it out. Just wherever you listen to podcasts, just search Authority Figures, or you can see the links along with this video or audio, depending on where you're listening or watching, directly to those podcasts. So subscribe to the podcast. If you do, I'll give you a free physical copy of my brand new book published. And so all you have to do is subscribe, and then reach out and let us know that you did. We'll get you a free copy of the book. Matt, you're the man. I love the show. I've already listened to a couple episodes. It's awesome. You're great at asking questions. And it's
good.
Really interesting conversation.
Thank you.
So I'm excited, and congrats on launching the show.
New episodes every Thursday.
Every Thursday. All right, guys, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. We've got new episodes every Wednesday on the Self-Publishing School podcast and new episodes every Thursday on the Authority Figures podcast. So we're here to get you through the middle of your week and keep you moving on your book and keep you inspired. Subscribe to the podcast. We'll see you in the first or the next episode. Talk soon.